it's cool to see those individuals pay respects to a program. Really cool just to see. It's a special Auburn moment, one that just gets us right here.
And as I joked with Austin pre-show, this is now no longer the Auburn Experience show. This has become, over the last several weeks, and rightfully so, maybe just the entire year, the Auburn Golf Experience show. It has been a year to discuss Auburn golf, and I am pleased that we are getting to do that. Austin is off camera doing something, and it's making me nervous. What have we got?
Never gotten to use this, so I had to use my golf ball.
Bring it up a little closer there. Sorry for the audio podcasting. Oh, look at that beautiful thing. Very nice. Very nice.
I don't even remember where I got this. Probably from Joe Davidson at Sanford Golf, but how about that?
You should have just said, this is from the team.
This is from actually Coach Clinard.
Coach Clinard gave it to him. Not really, but Coach Clinard, I want to give a shout out to Coach Clinard. He's just been he comes across as such a nice guy, and he definitely seems to be. I haven't had the opportunity to meet him in person, but very interactive on social media and very appreciative of Auburn people in general. And I think that is not that we are lacking in that across our coaches, but it's just so refreshing to see the family atmosphere carry through every single time we get an opportunity to display it, from coaches to players, from players to fans, from fans to coaches, all that kind of stuff. It's just really cool. So
couldn't agree more.
Shout out on that front. But folks, y'all know what we're talking about here. For the very first time in program history, your Auburn men's golf team are national champions. And boy, is it so beautiful. What are you doing on the camera right now?
I don't know how to celebrate on camera, so I'm holding my golf ball.
You should have had a couple and started juggling like while I was doing it. We'll talk about the celebration in just a little bit, but I want to spend some time talking about that championship golf match. Boy, did it have its ups and downs. Lived true to form, didn't it, for the Auburn Experience?
Hey, look, it doesn't matter what sport. We talked about earlier, it could not be your thing. You might not have never watched Auburn golf before this past week, but you had a similar Auburn experience to that with any other sport that you've ever watched with Auburn. It came down to the very end. The dramatics were high, and it was a lot of fun. Kyle, are you super before this weekend? I know you have, because you are the expert and pro in all things, but did college golf, had you watched a lot of it in terms of the team setup? Like, it's different than you would think.
I'm gonna be transparent with you.
Sure.
And I'm gonna give credit to one of our regular viewers and listeners, Mr. Brian Fulcher, who came on our Wednesday night live streams, Auburn Family Nights. Join us if you can't, or if you haven't before. 8 o'clock Eastern time most Wednesday nights. And I asked for a little bit of clarification from him about just why things are set up the way they are, why they're scored the certain way, match play versus stroke play, and why it's done this way, all that kind of stuff. So he gave us a quick, brief rundown. I will be honest, I understood a little bit of it, but the nuance, he helped clarify a little bit for me and the viewers and listeners. So to your question, I would maybe try to pretend that I knew what I was talking about, but I could have been more informed. Now I'm more informed.
Yeah, same. Well, I thought it was super exciting. I really liked the setup of you got to beat your matchup, right? As part of the team. I think golf is definitely a very individual sport, but in a lot of cases, but that kind of gives it a team atmosphere. And I liked that they asked the guys a lot about how that was different. But it certainly came right down to the end with J.M. Butler's a matchup being the deciding factor on the last hole. So, man, it was super cool, and it was super fun to be able to see everybody watching that kind of at one time.
Yep.
And then, like we do, Toomer's was rolled very quickly right after. So it was really exciting, unofficially, and then officially later was the celebration. But loved it. Well, it's so cool. Those are little things that the Auburn family just rallies around that you don't see everywhere else.
So I want to set some things up for people that maybe weren't able to follow as closely how this all transpired, who was involved. And I want to talk about at least two different elements of this before we talk about the celebration. But your setup is this: obviously made it to the championship round. You had to make it through certain check marks to keep continuing on. Auburn essentially made it to the biggest one, was the quarterfinals, had to beat someone or get into the top echelon, then move into the semifinals where they faced off against Ohio State. Got really dicey. Freshman Fremont Jackson Coyven, he clutched it up for us and sent us into the finals to take on the other highest ranked team that was left, and that was Florida State. A lot of history between Auburn and Florida State across many sports. Certain places as well. It was kind of ironic. It was in California. Correlations,
all has been justified.
All has been justified out there. We in the championship round, and we were able to pull it off. Early in the match, you saw Auburn go up immediately, but then Florida State kind of not pulled away, but kind of established. I felt like my amateur commentary on this was a somewhat comfortable lead in most of the individual matches.
Yep.
But then slowly, it was like as soon as Jackson Coyven just took over his match, that was like a little effect there. J.M. Butler kind of got control of what was going on, and it ultimately was the deciding match between him and their best, I'm assuming. You saw even Carson Baca, who had been down a lot, make a run. Came from way back. Josiah Gilbert kind of, after getting down for a little bit, came back and then kind of held on for a little bit too. And then Brendan Valdez, he was really the one that kind of pushed Auburn into control of the match and really came down to set up J.M. Butler to have this amazing finish as a senior and all that kind of stuff. Did it in only 17 holes, and your Auburn Tigers are national champions, the 23rd championship that Auburn sports programs have accumulated. And I believe, is that counting in equestrian? Because it's a different governing body. I don't know if that counts that or not.
That is a great question. I'm not sure. I don't know who it was. I saw the graphic that was put out, counting each one by each sport. I do not remember if they were on there or not.
The majority of those come by way of men's and women's swimming.
I think so. I'm going to say no, because that'd be a good chunk.
Mm-hmm. So it'd be majority men's and women's swimming, 2 from football, one from women's track and field.
2? Did you say 2 from football?
Did I say 2 from football? Well, technically it should be 5 from football. It's not.
Another. Okay. They do. It was one of the media outlets. They do include them. It's 6 from equestrian.
I thought they did, and I just wanted to make sure, even though it's a different governing body. But 23 national champions and the first for the men's golf program. Let's talk about the celebration, because you and I both got to attend that, and boy, was that fun.
Really
happened
cool.
At Toomer's Corner. The backdrop was Sanford Hall, a big old banner put up them, rightfully so. So you could see the tip top of the clock tower of Sanford Hall. I got to attend. We put a video out of the full thing if you want to watch it, if you weren't able to attend, on most of our social media. Austin chose to take the leisurely approach, which is probably the smart decision, to kind of hang out over there on the lawn and just listen to what was going on, since he had the boys with him. But I felt, from my perspective, that they underestimated the crowd that was going to show up, given how much space they allotted. What was your perspective?
No, definitely. I think that I even talked to a couple people that were working the event. They're friends of mine, and they were like, "Yeah, this was way more people than we expected." And I love that. I know that is, they didn't print enough free T-shirts. I didn't get a free T-shirt. I didn't get it. Yep. Well, yeah, I know that really stinks, but the fact that, after all these years, all the smart people we have in Auburn marketing, who are definitely still smart, I'm not underestimating or undermining them. They still were not able to adequately and accurately guesstimate how many people would show up for the Auburn family first national championship celebration in men's golf. And so that's really cool to me. Like you said, I was, behind everything. We could hear everything, but we were having some dinner with some friends and the baby boys on the lawn, and then got to take them over once the rolling commenced again. But just really cool to see that many people. A lot of big names. And I think we just think sometimes that it's like, well, of course he was there, but I would imagine Coach Butch Thompson has something else he could be doing. I would imagine Coach Hugh Freeze has something else he could be doing.
Right.
Mr. John Cohen, he probably should be there, but I think it's cool to see those individuals pay respects to a program that, while a lot of us might not view them as equals that they view as coworkers and friends and fellow coaches and colleagues in the athletic department. So really cool just to see. It's a special Auburn moment, one that just gets us right here.
The cool thing for me, you talk about things that get you, was them honoring the former head coach, and his name escapes me at this moment. He was there in attendance, and he was the one that I guess Clinard followed. The former players, some of them were some familiar names of very recent that showed up, and boy, a lot of credit was given to them about paving the way. And there is validity to that. You hear coaches talk about this a lot. You know, this Coach Chizik, former Auburn football coach Chizik, talked about this famous phrase: Auburn was great way before you got here.
Yeah.
But you have a chance to continue that greatness. And I think that was a great way of honoring the team by honoring the former people that helped pave the way here. Great speeches by everybody, confetti going off that pre-rolled the trees, which was pretty funny to watch. I looked up with the rest of the media members standing there, and I was like, well, it's already rolled. So, yeah. And then they had an individual toilet paper roll for all that were in attendance, VIPs, the team, staff, and they got to do it. And of course, the fans all joined in after the fact. But I thought for a thing that was thrown together, the response was great. The way it was pulled off was great. Now we know the bar has been set in terms of performance for golf, but also the response that they'll get if they continue to do this. And as Coach even said, what are we going to do next year? Run it back, baby. And when you've got the reigning player of the year and freshman of the year, Jackson Coyven, with a host of other talent, and I'm sure more talent coming in, you can bet the Auburn Tigers may be back there. To round out this discussion really quickly, we'd be remiss if we also didn't give credit to Coach Llewellyn, names like Megan Schofield, who have, and the rest of the team there that had for women's golf, who had got us started off really great this year with Megan Schofield winning the U.S. Amateurs. She just wrapped up play at the U.S. Open, finished, I think, tied for all out of all the amateurs over there, and was up in the top 5 at some points throughout competition today. So while we are honoring mainly the men's golf in this segment, as we talk about honoring others and giving recognition where it's deserved, Auburn golf this year, you are the winners across the board. To Coach Clinard, Coach Llewellyn, whether we're talking about Jan Butler, Megan Schofield, Jackson Coyven, players and coaches of former past, what an incredible day, and what an incredible week, and what an incredible time to be an Auburn golf fan. So super excited to see where it continues going in the future.